name is George Allen Buddy Miles. I was named after, the name Buddy comes from the famous musician, jazz musician, Buddy Rich. I am what you call a people person. I like to do the very same things that all people do. It's like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the times that your greatest moments are when you can help people. And I think that that's the reason why I chose to be a musician. I have big feet and I play good.
That's it.
You know, everybody has singled me out as being a good rhythm and blues drummer, and I'm very, very proud of that. I have been told I've been one of the master groovers of all times. I'll tell you, one of my greatest feats was one time Buddy Rich let me play with his big band, and he told me that I was the best rock drummer he's ever heard. He told me that. What's so nice about being able to play music in front of a mass of people is because you really bring out the good feeling and the humbleness, and you also bring out the festive attitude, and it's like the fruit of the vine. It's like if you was having a night in Casablanca. Play it again, Sam. The road is my home. I'm a road hog. I've been to Japan, I've been to Australia. I want to go to Red China. I want to go to some places. I would like to play. I would like to go to Cannes. I like to go to Cannes, France. I like to go to Nice. I like to go to Marrakesh. I like to go to Marrakesh and see what Crosby, Stills, and Nash was talking about. You know, don't you know we're riding on a Marrakesh Express? Yeah, I really like that. I've been out here, I've done nothing more than just travel. That's all I've ever done all my life is travel and play, do road shows, do clubs, do concerts, do big concerts, festivals, everything. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. When I'm working on the road and when I'm playing in front of people, I know that I'm doing what God put me here for to do, is to entertain. When you see me, a lot of people might say that I'm very flamboyant. Well, that's probably true. I like to wear the derby or the the melon hat, you know what I'm saying? But it just brings out a special sparkle in people. And sometimes, you know, like for me being plenty big, I wake up sometimes early in the morning and I feel, you know, a truce of pain and agony from arthritis and everything and from being plenty big. But still, it's almost like if I was like Superman, you know, when I don't have my, I wake up and then all of a sudden when I take my, I feel this, here I come to save the day, you know, and all that. I feel really good. I feel good, and I mean that as far as being able to play music for people, because that is my destiny. I am what you call a divine musician. James Marshall Hendrix. I'll never forget when we first met in Montreal, Canada. He was playing with the Isley Brothers. He was like 14 years old. We met, and it was really funny because he came up to me. He says, hey man, he says, man, you play some bad drums. And I says, yeah. I says, well, thanks. And I noticed this cat because this cat he looked cooler than cool. I mean, he wasn't like the average, like, sideman that, you know, I mean, this guy was different. He had chains on, he had everything on, and he looked just fantastic, man. He looked like a prince. And he says, well, what are you doing? And I says, well, what do you mean? He says, do you suppose we could get together and play sometime? I said, sure, man, anytime you want to. Now, working with Jimmy, I never had that problem because he would always, sometimes he'd make me sick. He'd come and ask me, you want this, you want that? So I said, look, keep it yourself, but give it to me later. Everybody thinks that they can play Jimmy's music, but you cannot. Even I can't do that. But what made it so unique is that Jimi Hendrix and Billy Cox and myself And I am not here to put Mitch Mitchell or Noel Redding down, because the Jimi Hendrix experience was certain as just as divine as the Band of Gypsies. But I think the Band of Gypsies, I think that what Jimmy was saying is he wanted to more or less go back to his roots, more or less because he was really not just a black man, you know. Everybody thought he was a black man in a white person's body, which is kind of strange. But to me, he just had a very, very universal soul. When we did the Band of Gypsies album at the Fillmore, for instance, we did it in 9 days. That's unprecedented. I mean, we just sit there, we worked out all of the songs, we did everything, and everything was just like, it was like blue magic, you know? And I find that this man, even today, I listen to all of his albums, and there's just no other like James Marshall Hendrix. I mean, we loved each other so much, and we had such a compassion for each other. We had a divine brotherhood, you know, which is far to find. Also Billy Cox, too, as well, you know. And that's what the Band of Gypsies was about. I mean, when we got together, we didn't really have to go and sit down. We just kind of like, everything was happening so spontaneous.
Going down to shoot my old lady, I caught her messing around with another man. Whoa, 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 going down to shoot my lady. You know I caught her messing around with another man, and that ain't too cool.
I would be lying to say if I didn't want the success like Jimi Hendrix or like the Beatles, or like any of my peers that have been successful. But you know, one thing that I think that I do have just as much, and living has a lot to do with it, of course, but I really do believe and I really feel that I made the kind of contribution with the way that I play drums, with the way that I do my music. I'm a true nitty-gritty rock and roller man when it comes down to it, and I think that that's got a lot to do with it. The impression that I'm getting is these kids need me out here. And I like that. I like to play for them.
You need to
I've played with just about all of your great guitarists. Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Rory Gallagher, Mahavishnu John McLaughlin, who is one of my Carlos Santana, who is one of he's one of my true marauders too. I've played with Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've played with Steve Cropper, Albert King, B.B. King, Freddie King. I've played with Slash from Guns N' Roses. I've played with Steve Vai. You know who else was a great guitar player that turned out to be a serial killer? Was a great blues guitar player, and I heard him play. Richard Speck. Oh, yeah? This dude was a great guitarist. I swear to God, and a lot of people don't even know that. And I saw him one time. I was going to Dubuque, Iowa. I was on my way to Mason City, and we stopped in this bar, and this guy was playing some hellacious blues. It was a band called the Squires. And this was, you know, just a, you know, a middle-of-the-road band in the United States. And this guy, he turned out to be a serial killer, killing women's, right? They fried him, no, they fried him like potatoes. They did, they fried him like potatoes.
Here come on, flat top, we come through the soul and we got juju eyeballs, one rolling roller, he's got dreadlocks down to the knee. Got to be good looking cause he's so hot to see. Together, right now, moving in.
What's the groove? Is to be big, bad, and beautiful. You understand? The groove today, the whole key to life is today is peace and tranquility and unity, which spells L-O-V-E. 4 miles away from home.
Just take a real soft, real flirt with the time. Let me hear the strings. You got them in the middle, right in the middle. Now give me really a lot of snap. Rudolph. Yeah. Keep it back, keep it black, keep it black, keep it back, keep it back. A lot of bass. Oh. Now look at me, watch me. Every time when I think about the way you love me, I know if I can help myself wanting in you over again. I am loving you always, man. Makes me glad. Make it real flowing. But when I want you love, way back, watch me time wise, way back.
again, real lazy, every day and night. You, oh, baby, hey. My mama did something that I know too many mamas would not do. My mama let me go on the road when I was 13 years old. You hear me? And to me, that's one of the greatest compliments that especially a young man, because I mean, even in those days, we're talking about early 60s. There's a lot of really sparse and crazy worlds out there within peoples. And to be a young kid, you could have been subjected. A lot of things could have happened to me.
I'm being started by many, not affected by one. Martin Luther King said, we shall overcome. A rainbow coalition, our nation holding hand. Check in the stands with the bands and the motherland. The government's praying, no house boys feel safe. People stand around when the world gets slayed. Organized, realize, we don't need like genocide.
I want life to understand that George Allen Buddy Miles is definitely one of God's disciples. I've always wanted to be, I've always had that attitude. Dear Lord, I know I haven't been to church in a long time, but I will go to one of your messiahs very soon. And the reason why is because, you see, I'm evangelic anyway. I'd have to be to do what I do. I know I am, because it's a religion in itself. And it spawns and it brings people together. To me, that's religion. When I want to hold you tight, you make everything seem so right. And if I had to take a chance, if I did never had your love, I just could not do nothing right. See, love is emotion. Love is gratitude. Love is gratifying. There is really, you see, that word L-O-V is a very, very perplexed word, because it stretches so very vast and so wide. It's really kind of hard for me to defy the real depth of the word love, but I do know that it is compassion, and it's love is feelings that you have for all. There's been some very, very important ladies in my life. Friends, very good friends. Even almost the type of, it's almost like we've had mad, compassionate love. But you see, when you're in this business, whoa, Nelly, because you don't get a chance to really like center in on like being platonic or being able, having staying power, because you zip, 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 zip. You're always constantly moving. And that's the reason why I know I'm a band of gypsy. We are divine rock and rollers. We are not rebellious, we just love what we do. I also have another friend of mine by the name of Carlos Santana. He often told me, he says, buddy, you are the drums, you are plenty big. Well, look at me, you know, I'm plenty big and I'm a colorful big guy. I was wealthy when I was a kid. I made a lot of money and I didn't do the right things. I do not feel bad about it. Because, you know, if you ever look in the 10 Commandments, there's one in particular that means so much to me. In modern terms today, they call it, don't sweat the small shit. Okay? But in biblical times, it's called, thou shall not bear false witness. And that's what I'm interested in. Because, I mean, it's better for a person to go out here and try to keep an open mind, because it's a heavy thing out here. It really, really is. And it's, as many years that I have done it, I only look to the man upstairs.
There's nothing wrong with thinking of the past. That's why I know our friendship will always last. What you've done for me, I know that it's understood. I do the same, and that's why it's all good. You might as well get ready to have a real good time. It's nice to know, darling, that you're such a good friend of mine. We must never forget we're living in troubled times. You can always count on me to bring you peace of mind, baby. Oh, 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 oh. Don't you know that you're my best friend? And you, oh, my, baby. I say it all the time, baby.